A story about love, sacrifice, and what really matters. What if a small act of kindness, something you did every day without thinking, was actually a test that could change your entire life? What if the universe was watching, waiting to see if you would stay kind when no one was looking, waiting to see if you would help someone when there was nothing in it for you? This is the story of Marcus. Marcus was 7 years old. He lived in the tallest building in the city, the kind of building that touches the clouds. His father owned banks. His father owned hotels. His father owned half the city, maybe more, but Marcus did not own happiness. Every morning, Marcus woke up in his giant bedroom. His bed was bigger than some apartments. His toys filled entire rooms. He had everything a child could want: video games, computers, designer clothes, expensive shoes that cost more than a car. But he had no friends. His father was always working. Meetings here, flights there. Always on the phone. Always gone. His mother had left when Marcus was 3. She wanted a normal life. She wanted a husband who came home. For dinner, she wanted a husband who knew her name, so she left. And she never came back. The nannies raised Marcus, but they were paid to be there. They were not family. So Marcus grew up alone. At school, the other children only wanted to be his friend because of his money. He could see it in their eyes. They wanted the expensive gifts. They wanted to go to his house and play with his things. But when he turned off his phone and stopped giving them money for the mall, they disappeared, all of them by age 14. Marcus was broken inside. He did not speak much. He did not smile. He did not believe that anyone could ever love him for just being himself. Not for his money, not for his name, but just for him. Just for Marcus. His father noticed, but he did not know what to do. His father was a businessman. He understood numbers and deals and contracts. He did not understand sadness. He did not understand a broken heart, so his father did what he always did. He bought more things: a new sports car for Marcus, a trip to Paris, a penthouse on the beach. But none of it worked. None of it fixed what was broken inside. One day, Marcus's father called a family meeting. This was rare. This was serious. His father sat across from Marcus at the dinner table. The table was so long that they could barely see each other. 50 seats, and only 2 people sat there. "I am worried about you." "My son," his father said. Marcus said nothing. "You are unhappy, I can see it. So I am sending you to a new school. A different school. A place where they can help you." Marcus wanted to say no, but he knew it was useless. His father made all the decisions. His father always won the next week. Marcus started at Riverside Academy. It was not like his old school. There were no rich kids, no famous kids, no kids whose parents owned companies. It was just normal. Regular real land. Marcus hated it. He sat alone at lunch. He sat alone in class. He said nothing. He did nothing. The other students ignored him. They could sense his coldness. They could feel his walls. But then, one day, something changed. Marcus was walking through the hallway after class. He was thinking about nothing. Just walking. Just existing. Just counting the hours until he could go home and be alone. That is when he saw her. She was old. Maybe 60. Maybe 70. He did not know. She was pushing a cart. The cart was full of cleaning supplies, mops and buckets and bottles of soap. Her name tag said, Margaret. She was cleaning the floors. On her hands and knees, working hard, moving slow, and she was smiling actually, smiling. How could someone smile while cleaning floors? Marcus watched her. She was alone. There was no one around to impress, no one to perform for. She was just cleaning, and she was happy. That made no sense to him. Margaret looked up and saw Marcus staring. Did not look angry. She did not look worried. She just looked at him with kind eyes. "Hello, sweetheart," she said. "Do you need something?" No one had called him sweetheart in years. "No," Marcus said quietly. "I am sorry, I was just looking." "Well, you can help me clean if you like," Margaret said. "These floors are very dirty today." Marcus almost said no, but something stopped him. "Okay," he said. So Marcus took a mop, and together they cleaned the hallway. Margaret talked the whole time. She talked about her life. She talked about her daughter who was a nurse in another city. She talked about her 2 grandchildren who she loved more than anything. She talked about her small apartment. She talked about how she loved her job, because every day she helped keep the school clean for the children, and she asked Marcus questions. "What is your name? What do you like to do? Do you have a big family? What makes you happy?" Marcus answered slowly. His words were small at first, but as Margaret listened, really listened, like his answer actually mattered, he began to open up. He told her about his father. He told her about his mother leaving. He told her about the other kids at his old school who only wanted his money, and Margaret listened. She did not fix anything. She did not tell him it would be okay. She just listened. When they finished cleaning, Margaret smiled and said, "Same time tomorrow?" And Marcus said yes. The next day he found Margaret in the hallway. They cleaned together again, and the day after that, and the day after that, it became their ritual. Every day after school, Marcus would find Margaret. They would clean the hallways together, and Margaret would talk, and Marcus would listen. And then Marcus would talk, and Margaret would listen, for the first time in his life. Marcus had a friend, not a paid friend, not a friend who wanted something from him, just a friend. Margaret never asked about his money. She never asked where he lived. She never asked about his father's business. She just asked about him. She asked about his day. She asked about his dreams. She asked about his fears, and she treated him like he was the most important person in the world. One day, Marcus asked Margaret why she was so kind to him. "Because everyone deserves kindness," Margaret said. "And I can see you are lonely. I was lonely once too, a long time ago. Before my daughter was born, I know what it feels like." "How did you stop being lonely?" Marcus asked. "I found people who loved me." Margaret said, "People like my daughter. People like you." Marcus felt something shift inside him. For years, he had thought that no one could love him, that he was broken, that something was wrong with him. But Margaret loved him. Not for his money, not for his power, just for him. "Margaret, do you want to have dinner at my house?" Marcus asked one day. "I mean, if you want to. You do not have to. But I would like it. I would like my father to meet you." Margaret smiled. "I would love that, sweetheart." That Friday, Margaret came to Marcus's house. His father was surprised. He did not recognize her at first. But when Marcus explained that Margaret was his friend, that Margaret was the reason he was happy now, that Margaret had shown him that kindness was real, and that people could care about you for who you are, not what you have, his father looked at her differently. "Thank you," his father said. His voice was quiet, almost broken. "Thank you for what you have done for my son." "He did this himself," Margaret said. "All I did was listen. All I did was show him that he was worth listening to." That night, Marcus's father asked Margaret to dinner every week. He told her about his life. He told her about losing Marcus's mother. He told her about being alone at the top, about how having everything had cost him everything that mattered. And Margaret listened to him too. Months passed. Marcus changed. He was still quiet, but he was not cold anymore. He smiled. He made friends at school, real friends who liked him for him. He started a club to help clean the school. not because Margaret asked him to, but because he wanted to help, because he understood now that helping made you feel good. His father changed too. He worked less. He came home for dinner. He asked Marcus about his day. He listened. Actually listened. But something was happening that no one knew about. Margaret was getting sick. She did not tell Marcus. She did not tell his father. She went to work every day and cleaned the hallways and smiled and talked about her grandchildren, but her hands shook sometimes. She got tired more quickly. She went to the doctor. The doctor told her she had a serious illness, the kind that does not go away, the kind that gets worse. She had maybe 2 years, maybe less. Margaret did not want anyone to know. She had lived a simple life. She had worked hard. She had loved her family. She had saved money, but not much money, just enough to live. The medical treatments would cost so much money, too much money, so she decided not to tell anyone. Instead, she decided to spend her last time with the people she loved. But one day, something happened that changed everything. Marcus was walking home from school. He saw Margaret sitting on a bench. This was strange. Margaret was always working. She was never sitting. He went to her. "Margaret, are you okay?" he asked. Margaret looked at him, and her eyes filled with tears. "I am tired," she said. "I think I need to sit down." Marcus sat next to her. "Margaret, tell me the truth. What is wrong?" Margaret wanted to lie, but she could not lie to him, not to the boy who had become like a grandson to her. So she told him everything, the illness, the costs, the doctors. The truth. Marcus listened, and when she finished, he did not cry. He did not panic. He called his father. His father came immediately, and when Marcus told his father about Margaret's illness, his father did something that surprised everyone. He cried. "This is my fault," his father said. "I have had so much money, so much power, but I did not see someone who needed help. I was too busy, too focused on business, too focused on things that do not matter." He looked at Margaret. "I will pay for your treatment," he said. "All of it, every doctor, every medicine, everything you need." Margaret said no. She said she could not accept that. But Marcus's father was a man who got what he wanted. "You saved my son's life," he said to Margaret. "You taught him what it means to be human. You taught me what it means to be a father. That is not something you can pay for. That is not something that has a price. So the least I can do is this. Please let me help you." Margaret had no choice, but as the treatments began, something unexpected happened. The treatments worked. They worked better than expected. Her doctor was amazed. The illness did not disappear, but it stopped. It slowed down. It became something she could live with, something she could manage. It was like a miracle, but here is what nobody knew. While Marcus's father was paying for Margaret's treatment, he was also doing something else. He had hired a private investigator. He had looked into Margaret's life. He had found her daughter in another city. He had found her 2 grandchildren. He had found their phone number, and he had called them. He had told them about their mother. He had told them what she had done for his son. He had told them that she was very sick and very alone. Margaret's daughter did not know. Her mother had never told her how sick she was. Margaret had kept it a secret because she did not want to worry her family. But when her daughter found out, she did what Margaret should have known she would do. She came home. She brought her children. She took a leave from her job. She stayed with her mother. And for the first time in years, Margaret was not alone. She had her family around her one day. Marcus was visiting Margaret's apartment. He was sitting on the couch. Margaret was in her room. Resting Margaret's daughter came out. She sat next to Marcus. "I want to thank you," she said. "I want to thank you for being my mother's friend, for showing her that her life was important, for showing her that she mattered. "She is the one who helped me," Marcus said. "She is the one who changed my life." "I know," her daughter said. "But my mother had been alone for so long. She had been working so hard. She thought no one needed her. She thought she was just a janitor. But then you came along, and you showed her that kindness matters, that her love matters, that she matters." Marcus understood. Then, he understood what had happened. Margaret had not just been cleaning a hallway and talking to him. She had been testing him, not in a mean way, not in a way that was trying to hurt him, but life was testing him. Life was asking if he would stay kind when he had everything, if he would notice someone who had nothing, if he would care about a person who could not give him anything in return. And he had passed the test, and because he had, everything had changed. Not just for him, but for Margaret, but for his father. For everyone. 2 years later, on a sunny day, Marcus graduated from high school. His father was there. Margaret was there. Margaret's daughter and grandchildren were there. His father had promoted Marcus to help run his business, but he had changed the business. He was using his money to build schools, to help poor communities, to pay for medical care for people who could not afford it. He had found a new purpose, and it was all because his son had learned from a janitor named Margaret at his graduation. Marcus walked to the microphone. He had never been one to speak in front of people, but he had something to say. "I want to thank my friend Margaret," he said. "She taught me that money does not buy happiness. She taught me that kindness is more valuable than gold. She taught me that the smallest actions can change lives forever. And she taught me that love is not something you can buy. Love is something you give. Love is something you share. Love is something that comes back to you when you least expect it." The crowd was quiet, and then they stood up. They clapped and clapped. Marcus looked at Margaret in the audience. She was crying, but she was smiling, the biggest smile he had ever seen. Years passed. Marcus grew up. He built his own company, but it was different from his father's. It was focused on helping people, on giving opportunities to people who had no opportunities, on recognizing that the smallest person in the room might have the biggest heart. He hired people from poor neighborhoods, gave them training. He gave them chances. He gave them hope, but something else happened too. Marcus never forgot Margaret, even as his company grew, even as he became successful and famous, even as his life became bigger and more important. He would visit Margaret every week. They would sit on her porch, or walk through the park, or just talk on the phone. And sometimes people would recognize him. They would see the billionaire and the old janitor sitting together. They would wonder what the connection was. They did not know the story. They did not know that this old woman had changed the course of a man's entire life. They did not know that a janitor had taught a billionaire's son the meaning of love. But if they had known, maybe they would have treated the people around them differently. Maybe they would have noticed the person cleaning the floor. Maybe they would have said hello. Maybe they would have asked their name. Maybe they would have listened. Because that is what this story is about. It is about how you never know who might change your life. It is about how the greatest gifts come from the most unexpected places. It is about how a single act of kindness can echo forward forever. One day, when Marcus was 30 years old, Margaret called him. She said, "Want to tell you something. I want to tell you why I was so kind to you when we first met. Do you remember I told you that I was lonely once? That I had known what it was like?" "Yes," Marcus said, "I remember." "Well," Margaret said, "that is not the whole truth. The real truth is that my mother was sick when I was young, and I was angry. I was so angry at the world. I did not want to help anyone. I did not want to care about anyone. I thought kindness was a waste. I thought it would only hurt me." Marcus listened. "But one day," Margaret continued, A woman helped me. A stranger. She did not have to, but she did. And it changed me. It showed me that kindness was not a waste. That kindness was the most valuable thing I could ever give. And I spent my whole life trying to pass it forward, trying to help people the way I was helped. So when you helped me, Marcus said slowly, you were passing it forward? Yes, Margaret said. I was passing it forward, and now you will pass it forward too. You will help people, and they will help people, and on, and that is how the world gets better. One act of kindness at a time, one person at a time. Marcus understood then. He understood that he was part of something bigger than himself. He was part of a chain of kindness that had started long ago and would continue long after he was gone. And he knew what he had to do. He started writing. He wrote down his story. He wrote about Margaret. He wrote about how she had changed him. He shared it with the world, and people read it, and people cried, and people started thinking differently about the people around them. They started noticing the janitor. They started saying hello to the security guard. They started asking the cashier how their day was going, and kindness started spreading. Not because Marcus asked them to be kind, but because they understood that kindness mattered, because they understood that one small act could change everything. 5 years later, Margaret passed away peacefully in her sleep. Her family was with her. Her grandchildren held her hand. She died knowing that she had mattered. She died knowing that her life had meant something. And she died knowing that she had changed the world at her funeral. Thousands of people came. Thousands of people whose lives had been touched by the stories she inspired. Thousands of people who had become kinder because of her. Thousands of people who had passed kindness forward. Marcus stood at the front, and he said something that made everyone cry. My friend Margaret once asked me a question. He said, she asked me what makes me happy, and I did not know how to answer at the time, but now I know what makes me happy is kindness. What makes me happy is seeing someone smile because I helped them. What makes me happy is knowing that I am part of a chain of love that stretches backwards and forwards forever. He paused. Margaret taught me that we are not alone in this world. She taught me that someone is always watching, not to judge us, but to see if we are becoming better people, to see if we are learning to love, to see if we are learning to help. And I failed that test many times. Marcus continued. But she never gave up on me. She never stopped being kind. She never stopped believing that I could become better. His voice broke. So if you are watching right now, and you think that kindness does not matter, if you think that your small actions do not mean anything, if you think that no one will notice or care, then you are wrong. Someone is noticing. Someone cares, and your kindness will echo through the world in ways you will never even know. The crowd stood up. They clapped, and clapped, and clapped. They clapped for Margaret. They clapped for a life lived with purpose. They clapped for a woman who had nothing but gave everything. And they clapped for the power of kindness. In the years after Margaret's death, Marcus did something remarkable. He founded a school, not just any school, named after Margaret. The Margaret Johnson School for Children in Need It was a school for children from poor families. Children like Marcus had been lonely, broken, alone. He hired people to work there who understood what these children needed. Not just teachers, but counselors, mentors, people who cared. People who would sit with a lonely child and just listen. People who would pass kindness forward. The school became famous, became a model for schools all over the world. Children who went there changed. They learned not just math and science, but they learned that they mattered. They learned that someone cared. They learned that they could become anything they wanted if they had someone who believed in them. And many of those children grew up to pass kindness forward. Too, this is where the real magic happened, because the chain continued, kindness kept spreading. one act at a time, one person at a time. A child learned kindness from a teacher at Margaret's school. That child grew up and helped someone in need. That person then helped someone else, and on all. Because of one janitor who decided to clean a hallway with kindness in her heart. Years later, a journalist came to interview Marcus. The journalist asked him, "You could go back to that first day you met Margaret. If you could see into the future and know that this one friendship would change thousands of lives, would you believe it?" Marcus thought about it. "No," he said finally. "I would not believe it, because that is not how kindness works. Kindness does not calculate the future. Kindness does not ask, 'What is in it for me?' Kindness does not wonder if it will matter. Kindness just acts. Kindness just cares. And then, somehow it becomes something bigger than anyone ever imagined. And that is the truth of this story. That is the secret that Margaret knew. That is what she was trying to teach, not that kindness will be rewarded, but that kindness is the reward, that kindness is how we connect, that kindness is how we heal, that kindness is how we save each other. So here's my question for you right now in this moment. What if the person next to you is also lonely? What if they also need someone to listen? What if they also need someone to see them? What if, without knowing it, you have the power to change their entire life with just one small act of kindness? What if you are being tested too? Not by God, not by the universe, but by life itself. Life is asking you right now, will you notice? Will you care? Will you pass kindness forward? Because I promise you, this one small act, one small conversation, one moment of genuine care can ripple forward in ways you will never even know. It can touch lives you will never meet. It can change the world in ways you cannot even imagine. That is the power we all have. That is the power that Margaret had. That is the power that changed everything, and it is the power that you have, too. Remember this story. The next time you walk past someone cleaning the floor, the next time you see someone alone at lunch, the next time you meet a stranger who needs a friend, that person might be testing you too, and you might be about to change their life. Forever, all you have to do is be kind. That is all you have to do. Be kind.